2019 is the year I pledged to play through the Castlevania franchise and record my journey through these vlogs, culminating in one big video review at the end. Here's the 8th entry covering the famous Castlevania Rondo of Blood. Welcome back, friends, to another episode of the Castlevania Diaries. We are in some good Castlevania juice now. It's only been getting better over the last few games. Now we're into Rondo of Blood, which I played it on PlayStation 4, which was a bundle that came with Rondo of Blood and Symphony of the Night called Castlevania. Shit, I forget what it's called. I'll put it up here. You guys will. Requiem of something. Anyways, let's just get right down to it. Rondo of Blood, best Castlevania game so far. They've just been getting better. Super Castlevania 4, better than the NES stuff. Easy. Bloodlines, you know what? I'm not sure if I would put Bloodlines above Castlevania 4. Probably because it's a little bit easier. Rondo of Blood, hard, difficult game. No longer have save states, which means I beat that game legitimately. Not only did I beat it, I 100%ed it, meaning I did all of the sub-bosses and all of the sub-levels. And it was fun time. I actually really enjoyed it. It has the graphical style I love, which is, you know, kind of that 16-bit thing. The music in it is fantastic. I don't know if it's like full orchestra or if it was remastered in the version I played, but it's just really good. And it actually, because I didn't have the save states this time, I realized I had to learn the true meaning of the non-Metroidvania Castlevania, which is you need to take your time, you need to figure out the best positioning and the whipping and the patterns. And it's a whole different game when you're not playing with save states. So thank you, Rondo of Blood, for forcing me to get good. Also, I realized when I went back to other games like Hollow Knight after playing Rondo of Blood, I was way better at Hollow Knight. And that was just from playing a completely different game. Like, I hadn't touched Hollow Knight in a while. So yeah, Rondo of Blood, the story about it is good. There's a lot of diversity of monsters. The bosses are actually fun and fair. So there's actually a pattern. And I do like what they did in the title screen where... So there's actually I don't remember if there was a purpose to money in the past games. I don't even remember if there was money in the past games. It's already been a few months since I played those. But in this game, money drops, and you can use that money at the title screen to buy basically walkthroughs to see the strategy to beating the boss, which is a really great built-in component of the game, and it actually gives you a reason to want to pick up the money. I'll admit I used it once or twice, but otherwise the bosses were fair enough that I could go through it, die once, twice, and then I figured out the pattern and I could overcome the challenge. And that's a great experience. That's fair and fun. So I really liked it. I like the fact that you actually have, this is the first game, no, it's the second game, where you have multiple characters. So in Bloodlines, that's where we saw the introduction of you can either have Harpoon Man or Whip Man. That's how iconic those characters are by name, by the way. In this one, though, if you collect the secret key and unlock that secret door, which thanks to, there's one of you guys who shouted that out and let me know that I should do that, unlocks Maria, which is the strangest character in a Castlevania game, which is, you know, a little girl in a pink dress shooting some like doves at enemies and being able to double jump. And it's crazy. It's crazy. It's a whole different Castlevania. But my God, she is a little bit OP'd. She takes more damage, but she's a lot more fun and maneuverable to play with. That said, I needed to beat Dracula with Richter because at first I did complete it with Maria, and I got some super cheesy anime ending that made no sense. I'm like, this ain't my Castlevania. So I went back with Richter and I was like, all right, I did this properly. I'm a Belmont. I got my whip. I whipped Dracula in the face. We're good. I really like the fact that this one had a percentage on the file. I'm kind of a sucker for progression in that sense, so I love that. I love that there were these extra maidens to save, which added a whole different element of searching and exploring. And again, a lot of people are saying you can kind of see the tones of getting into the Metroidvania style, and I agree that the game, it's really fascinating to see this game evolve since we're playing it in chronological order of when they were released. So this one here, there is definitely a little bit more hidden stuff. And then there's all the secret passages, which was something to unlock the prime stages. So like there's stage 2 and then there's stage 2 prime. And the prime paths are a little bit harder, I believe. And then you've got a lot of weird, obscure stuff. When I was trophy hunting, no, not just trophy hunting, when I was trying to get 100%, I needed to use a walkthrough to find out how to do some things. And like, there's one level You're on a bridge. You can't see what's below the bridge, and you're supposed to fall in like random hole number 3, and you fall onto a boat, and the guy just takes you to a jail cell, and that's where you get another maiden. And it's like, how does anyone figure that out on their own? There's just so many obscure things like that. But I like it because it really played into the next game, which we're going to talk about in the next installment, Symphony of the Night. What else? I think if I recall, they got rid of the whip upgrade in this game, which is a very welcome addition. You know, in the NES, it was kind of frustrating when you die, you go back to a basic whip with less reach. In this one, it helps control the difficulty knowing that the player always has the same range of whip, and the fact that you can, so I feel that the designers, maybe that's why the game felt more fair, because in the NES one, let's say the designer built the whole game around you having a whip this long, but then you died because you suck, so your whip is this long, the game changes difficulty completely, just like that, and I'm sure they didn't care. They didn't care back then. In this one here, you can design it because you know that the whip length stays the same. And if that's too hard, there's Maria. You just jump around everywhere and you just throw some birds and cats and dragons. It's really weird. I don't get it. I don't get why Maria's in there, but I do like this universe expanding. I like the bosses, I like the music, I like the whip mechanics. I can just sit here and tell you guys how much I love this game for the next 10 hours, but we're going to keep it short and just say, my favorite. This is my favorite. Oh, another thing to say. When I got into the Castlevania series, before I even took on this whole challenge, I asked my buddy Sean, said, where should I start in Castlevania? What is the best one? And he said Rondo of Blood, which is why I bought this game way back. Played it for 30 minutes. I was like, I hate this. This sucks. This is the worst game ever. How can you like Castlevania? So it's a very different perspective when you come back to this game after playing the legacy before it. When you play the NES games, the SNES games, the Game Boy games, and you play this, you're like, oh, I get it. What they were trying to do back then, they perfected it here, and it works, and it's good because now I understand the formula, and this is a good game. So Rondo of Blood right now, my favorite game out of the series. Now I heard that there's a version of Rondo of Blood that they brought to the Super Nintendo called Dracula X, and I think it's Meters has challenged me to complete that. In fact, he challenged me to fight the final boss and die less than 5 times, and there's a money bet on that. So I'm going to take him up on that. I don't want to slow down my progression of the Castlevania series, and there's still a lot more games to do, so I'm going to come back to that at the end. But for now, Castlevania, Rondo of Blood, you are at the top of my list. You are the best Castlevania so far, and yeah, we'll see if the other ones can top this one. I'll see you guys next time on the Castlevania Diaries, and until then, keep it classy.